Alrighty, let's see what we got today. 'Tis Sunday, so we've got a twist. Galleria has plus coin, which I suspect is just plus one coin, yeah. I don't know that that's enough to make Galleria playable. I can't see that coming up very much here. Alright, so only draw is Wharf, only village is Port. Thinning is Develop and Transmogrify. There's a ton of plus buy. Wharf, Galleria, Collection, Pawn. There's even a Ruined Market in the Ruins pile. Shy. Which card is Shy? Wharf. It's kind of an awkward card to be Shy, actually. Like if you have a Wharf in your starting hand, do you really want to discard it rather than play it? I'm not sure how often that comes up. So, for sure you're trashing your states here. I think it is not obvious to what extent you're trashing coppers. Wharf is very strong draw. Transmogrify can't trash coppers at all. If you trashed a copper with Transmogrify, you'd have to gain a copper or a curse or a ruin back. And Develop can trash coppers, but not very effectively. So it strikes me as the sort of kingdom where you might just try to draw through all your coppers rather than trash them. You play a bunch of Wharfs, play a bunch of Ports, play some collections, buy some cheap actions. Ruins are actually going to be very relevant here, I think. Not because Marauder sucks, but because they cost 0. So if you have excess buys, you can buy Ruins for like 3 or 4 points each with a bunch of collections in play. So yeah, general game plan seems straightforward. Details TBD. The open, for sure the $4 hand ought to be Transmogrify. Is it worth taking a Develop? So the case for Develop is, suppose you see it turn 3, for example, and you develop an estate into a silver. Well, you got to play a silver on your second shuffle anyway, which is the upside of buying a silver. And you also trashed an estate and replaced it with a Develop in your deck, which has to be an improvement. The downside, of course, is, I mean, it did take up space in hand, and if you see it turn 4, that might mean you're not hitting 5 that shuffle. Transmogrify and Develop are both cards that you'd really like to see turn 3 if at all possible. I want to take the Develop. I'm not sure if that's correct. I think Transmogrify Silver also seems viable. Alrighty, so I did in fact find Develop turn 3. Well, the finding with 3 money isn't necessarily the best outcome. That might be a reason I would have preferred a silver in that hand. Just because the odds that I hit 5 down there are not that high with 2 estates and a Transmogrify coming up. But we shall see. I don't think I need another silver right now. Let's take a Haven. Oh, hello there. It panned out after all. Get me a Wharf. Okay, another silver. This Transmogrify is actually not going to have that many targets. The Develop has done a lot more work on the estates than the Transmogrify has. Yeah, I don't even have an estate in this hand. I could... So one option is I could just pitch the Wharf for plus 2 cards. The upside of doing that would be it's happening at start of turn. So if I draw into an estate, I could use Transmogrify on that estate, whereas if I draw a estate off of the Wharf, I cannot. Downside of that is I don't get a Wharf in place, so I don't get the plus 2 cards next turn, which is probably enough to make it not worth it, I think. Another option could be I could just turn the silver into, say, Ports or something else that I value, because I don't necessarily want a bunch of silver in my deck either. Maybe that's what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and turn this into a pair of Ports. Draw some cards, set aside, buy another Wharf. Okay. Bot takes its first pair of Ports. Lots of money, but no Wharf in sight. Next turn ought to be good, right? Yeah, 100% chance I play a Port and a Wharf. Because even if the 1 Port's on bottom, there's 2 Ports down there. So, do I care about 8 money? What am I buying here? 2 more pairs of ports seems quite excessive. This might be a good turn to pick up a first collection, just like collection and another haven, and then picking up ports on the following turn. Could also just be another wharf, maybe. Maybe I don't care about points quite yet. If I don't care about points, another wharf is probably the best card for my deck. Got one more haven. I do have 2 wharfs, right? I'm not making that up. Pretty sure that bottom card's a wharf. About to be disappointed if it's not. Bot develops an estate into a silver. Good on you. I could conceive of Mountain Pass being relevant here. This is not a kingdom where I think your gameplay naturally involves gaining any provinces. Collection is just going to outscore that quite badly. But I could imagine a situation where you buy an emergency province because you need an immediate influx of points. And Mountain Pass is often a good way to at least temporarily forestall an immediate pile out, because your opponent either takes a bunch of debt, in which case it's harder for them to pile out next turn, or else they give you the points and then you've just gone up like, what is that? 14 points total, which helps the Verta pile out. Alright, it was a wharf after all. Ooh, I cannot play both of these. I think I actually rather set aside the wharf. I don't want to get all wharfs in play on the same turn if I can avoid it, and my deck would be all topsy-turvy and lopsided. I mean, if I had a wharf in hand and no develop, I'd still play the wharf. It's better to play it than not. You don't want to go too far out of your way to avoid duration imbalance. But given the choice here, I think it just makes it natural to do this instead. And there remains a case for trashing a copper. If I draw into the estate, which is not unlikely with 4 cards coming in, then I can develop the estate next turn. The case for trashing estate here is, well, I can buy a collection, which I think is a good enough case. And that silver might just be getting transmogrified here. Probably will. I think on balance I prefer Haven over Pawn in this kingdom, because trashing is limited and setting aside cards is sort of like thinning him. Like if you have a pair of Havens juggling a copper each turn, it's kind of like that copper is just never in your deck. Definitely not discarding you. But a case where you might want to take pawns is if you had an excess of ports. Pawns are a good way to convert actions into money. Like you just play your ports and you play your pawns for card and coin. Yeah, I think I'm going to take another pair of ports here. Depending on how much I draw, probably not there yet, but I could contemplate developing a port. Yeah, let me think about that. I suppose I just developed a port here into a silver in a collection, or a silver in a wharf, or what are my bottom cards? Is that a port too? I feel like it is. No, it's a collection. Oh, I'm so silly. There's one staring at me in the discard. I was trying to make sense of how I had an odd number of ports, which shouldn't be the case, and I just missed that a port had gone to my discard at the start of turn. When I transmogrified the silver, you gain 1 port to hand and 1 port to the discard. Okay, well that was a silly mistake then, I suppose. Yeah. I think absolutely I should have developed the port into silver first and then wharf. The one you gain second ends up on top because it gets top deck second. Then play a haven, draw the wharf, play the wharf, draw a silver and a collection. In my head I was thinking I was just going to draw a port dead and want to draw the port first. That was just me not having a full conception of my deck. I could do the same thing here, like play a Haven, draw that port, and develop it, but then I'm not getting the immediate benefit the same turn. How unfortunate. Alright, let's just set that aside and trash a copper, I guess. I underplayed that turn there. Got a little bit confused, hurt myself in confusion. Take another development, another pair of ports, and by develop I mean collection. This could be a good hand to resolve Shy if I don't find a... No, never mind. I think if I don't find a port, I could pitch one Wharf for +2 cards to find a port. But I've got a port on my Haven, so I'm definitely finding a port here. The bot takes the last 4 ports, which I guess makes sense. You do want to have enough villagers to do things here. Not villagers, villages. I need at least 3 actions to be able to do anything funky with developing ports here. Like if I develop this port into a Wharf and drew it, the Wharf would draw things dead, so that doesn't solve my problems. I really like to minimize my chance of deading. I'm thinking about developing the silver into Secret Passage plus Pawn. Just to make sure I draw everything. Put a copper on the bottom. Alright, cards in hand. I like that I'm up 2-1 on collections. It's probably time to add more Wharfs, I think. We're getting very close to pile-up territory. Let me think about that, actually. Bot has 1 Wharf in play. No Transmogrifies down. So like imagine I buy a Wharf here. Ah, yeah, the bot's not piling 3 Wharfs and 4 Havens or anything. This Wharf is safe. Don't prove me wrong, please. And is there anything nasty to do here with Galleria? I don't think so. The problem is Galleria only triggers on 3s and 4s, and that's like the most awkward numbers to gain here. 2s and 5s are a lot nicer. Sometimes Galleria can gain you a huge number of buys, and in this kingdom, having a huge number of buys could definitely be converted into a huge number of points, just like buying out the ruins. But I don't think you're getting that many buys with the Galleria. So I think I'm just going to take another collection. Like best case scenario for Galleria, I think, would be if I draw my deck, play Galleria first. It triggers on gains, not just buys. So you like develop a 4 cost into a 5 and a develop, then develop another 4 into a 5 and a develop, and so on, and loop that a bit. And each develop you're getting +1 buy, so you get a few buys off of it maybe, and then you put that towards ruins. I think the much safer answer is just Wharf and/or collection. The bot is, as always, extremely greedy. I thought the first Wharf it bought was unnecessarily risky, and it just took 2 of them. I've got 4 cards worth of draw coming in. This deck is like half Wharfs and ports. Are you counting me a dud? And if so, why would you count on that? That just seems crazy aggressive. I think there's no downside to resolving Shy here, given that I'm going to most likely win this turn. Card coin. I want to play fewer ports rather than more if I can swing it. Okay, dang it. Because I wanted to develop a port. Okay, so this just absolutely has to be a win, right? Yeah, not even close. collection, silver, draw. Okay, well, turns out it did make a little bit of a difference. Yeah, that was probably the wrong order, wasn't it? I should have played the wharf first, drawn this wharf, developed the port, and then played that wharf. I would have one more buy, which would mean 4 more points here. That was a mistake. Anyway, let's just go ahead and take the win. Even if I had one more money there, it actually wouldn't be prudent to buy a province over an extra ruin. Province nominally is 6 points compared to 4 points for each ruin. But if you buy a province in the last turn of the game in a kingdom with mountain pass, the person who didn't buy the province always bids first. You bid last. And so if your opponent knows the game's already going to end, they can just bid 40, and then you can't outbid them because 40 is the maximum. And so they'll just always get the victory points. So you'd end up effectively losing 2 victory points rather than gaining 6. Let me go demonstrate how I messed this up. So I gotta go up before the develop. So I should have just done this. Actually, maybe Galleria is even more points than a collection. Let me think about that. So if I gain a collection and play a wharf, I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Collection's probably gonna be more points. That's 40 points right there. A Galleria, I draw that with the wharf. I have 5, 8, 9 buys, but I also have 6, 10, 15 money. I could buy 5 develops, which gives me 5 buys back. So effectively I have 14 buys. Oh, maybe that is slightly more points. Let's do that. It's not every day. Oh, and I get it. Oh, this silver doesn't make a difference. It's not every day Galleria gets to be relevant, right? Oh, this line might actually not pile out. I was thinking I was going to buy like 5 develops and then a bunch of ruins, but I can only take 9 ruins this way. Huh. Maybe the develop was I'm 1 buy short of the Galleria. I'm farting around for no reason. Back to the simple answer. Let's buy out the ruins this time. Okay, there we go. That's probably the maximum points I could have reasonably scored here. I mean, the bot looks like it's playing this basically correctly. Ports, wharfs, transmogrify, develop, collection. That's the exact same as my deck prior to me buying all the ruins. So I think I had the right idea. I imagine I just had slightly better draws / being player 1. I'd say we're doing fundamentally the same stuff here.